You create your own energy. You create your empire.
Good afternoon again, everyone. I think most, if not all, should already know who I am, but I'm Unique Taylor. I'm a project manager by day and content writer creator by night, so to speak. Essentially, I guess you could say that is my hustle. So, as Yvette said, um, I'm here this afternoon to just share a brief presentation and some of my thoughts and perspective on the idea of hustling, both from a positive, but as well addressing some of the negative aspects of what some people and maybe some of you have yourself experienced or heard or believed when it comes to hustling. Um, I see where we are still a bit shy, but I like participation. So I am hoping I can get some responsiveness from you all as we go through today's presentation. So the concept of hustle can be viewed as a good or a bad thing. So when Yvette presented to me the idea in terms of the breakdown of what she wanted me to speak on, I, of course, took some time to just reflect on it, reflect on my perceptions and understanding of what hustling for me means, and then also just doing a little research around the idea of what's the common definitions and thoughts around the term hustle, a hustler, and hustling is. So is it a good or bad thing? And if somebody calls you a hustler, what does that mean to you and why? So anybody wants to just give a quick response to that second question? If you're called a hustler, what does that mean to you and why? Two participants to just give a quick response.
Is this for the youth only?
No, not for the youth only.
All right, hustler. And for me, it can be two things. It can be good and it also can be bad. But it all depends on you and yourself. Because being a hustler, you have persons like might out there like they might love to beg things, and every time a person see them come in, they know that they're gonna beg something and or take something or steal something. So they normally would say that person I want hustler, man, what am I come do? But I don't want to be used to carry out that aspect as hustler being that way, because it's us as Jamaican interpreting it that way as it's a bad thing. Because also can be a person who is a go getter, who go there to also for a night dinner, or to also to help their kids, like selling clothes, selling food, or any little thing that you can do by selling to help your children. But sometimes persons interpret the wrong way, because other things like even prostitution, persons may say that's hustling and stuff like that. But
Right.
I believe hustling all depends on your mindset and yourself and what you think you want to become by doing some hustling out there to help your family and your kids, like going out to sell whatever things you need to sell, like food, clothes, or stuff like that. That's how I look at a hustler.
Wonderful. Thank you for that response. You hit several nails on the head, Tana, and you are very right. It really boils down to mindset, which is going to be the focus around our perception that we want our youth to embrace when they think of the word hustle. But a quick breakdown, just looking at some standard definitions. So, hustle can mean to push roughly, it can mean to obtain something illegally or illicitly, such as money, meaning that you maybe defraud somebody of some cash. It also can mean a state of great activity. I'm sure a lot of you have heard the term hustle and bustle when people talk about busy cities, or if we talk about the hustle and bustle of downtown Kingston, or the hustle and bustle in Mobile Town, because there's a lot of traffic, a lot of people, a lot of noise. And then we have hustle meaning a fraud or swindle. A hustler now a lot of which Tana just spoke to, someone who obtains money by fraud or deceit, someone who might lure you into those little street games that you will see sometimes. They're doing a little card game or a little domino game, and you have somebody collecting the money on the side, and probably somebody in the game is the hustler who going, probably hide some cards or something and hustle out of their money, right? And you don't have a clue what is going on. And then you have a positive connotation, which is an athlete who plays with alert energy and aggressiveness. And it doesn't have to just be an athlete. A hustler can be somebody who is considered a go-getter, right? No matter what the obstacles are, no matter when it seems like they're down and in the dumps at the worst point possible, they always somehow find a way to get above and beyond whatever it is that is causing the setback in that moment. And a lot of that relies on a mindset. So our perception, or I should really say Yvette's perception that she has shared and created and that we want to share and really get rooted in you all today, is the concept of hustle being, of course, a positive thing that is rooted in how it is you want to be defined. Because ultimately, your success begins with you, and you cannot let what others perceive of you be the driving factor in what you will become. Whether tomorrow, 2 weeks from now, 2 years from now, that all begins with you and your mindset. And so how we are breaking down hustle for you is hustle in terms of H, being hurry and hopeful. U, meaning to utilize, be urgent, always have a sense of urgency. S, meaning to be smart and savvy. And we're going to go through each of these. T, meaning timely and tenacious. L, for leadership and learning. And E, meaning everyday and eager. Before we jump in, I want us to think about these people. So as I just said, in spite of what others think, do, or say, your hustle should always be about you and how you define it. Businesses are always rebranding, and guess what? We as individuals can always rebrand, recreate who we are for others to see and work with. And so 3 people that I pulled out, of course, 3 of our fellow Jamaicans who I think are some of our top hustlers. And I know that they're probably more current and more relevant persons to you all, but these were the 3 that came to mind for me. So you have Usain Bolt. I think everybody should know who that is, who hustled to become one of the greatest athletes in history. And not just in Jamaica, we're talking internationally, across the world. I'm sure any country that you go to, they will know the name Usain Bolt and what he has accomplished. And he started from nothing. And that is itself the essence of hustling. It was hard work, grit, and wanting to be the best at a craft that he was passionate about. Same goes for Mr. Michael Lee Chin. Very popular, and everybody knows him mainly for his role in creating and developing NCB, National Commercial Bank, but he has done a lot of other things. And he did not start there. He, of course, hustled his way to the top to become one of our few recognized billionaires globally. Because, again, he had a passion, he had a vision for himself, and he hustled to achieve it. He started working on cruise ships as a bellboy. He, made the decision and made the effort. He was tenacious about what he wanted to study and where he wanted to study, not having money, but he was tenacious enough to approach the office of the Prime Minister, and that's how he got a scholarship to go study. When he completed his studies, he came back, worked for the government for a short time. He studied abroad in Canada. And then he decided to switch careers and, dabble a bit, try out the financial market. He borrowed money to invest in stock. And that's how he began his journey to the top in finance. That is the true essence of hustling. And then our great Bob Marley, of course, musical genius, who again started with what? Not really much, but also had a passion, a dream, and hustled for it. He wanted to create music. And even though he has been dead for so many years, you hear a Bob Marley song, the whole room is grooving. And again, another name known globally. You know, he represents reggae music. So success requires hustle. I know it is always, and I should have shared that image which I like, which always shows, it's like a above water, below water image, that it shows all of the dirty things that happen underwater that nobody is seeing to make the glamorous things above the sea that we do see happen. So we think that the glitz and glamour that we see happened overnight and so easily, and we don't have an understanding of what it takes underwater, behind the scenes, for these people to get where they are today. It takes hustle. It takes a certain level of energy, dedication, belief in yourself, and that I will continuously have to work hard to get to the top. So this is specifically the hustle that we want you all to reflect on today. So again, going down to the breakdown of hustle. And what I wanted to do is put it in the context really of what we have been dealing with since last year. We are still in a pandemic. COVID has changed a lot of people's livelihoods. People who were successful as of March 2020 lost everything. Not just here, but globally. A lot of people are in the midst of rebuilding socially, emotionally, business-wise, just trying to rebuild their lives. It has not been easy for many, many people. But again, having the grit and the determination to maintain your hustle is what is getting a lot of people through this challenging time. We see what has happened here in terms of just our tourism. People are not traveling as they used to before. Hotels were shut down. That's millions, if not billions of dollars lost. Even remittances that people from other countries would be sending to help family here has dried up, because guess what? A lot of those people in those countries have lost their jobs as well. And so where do you go from there? How do you overcome something like that? Again, mindset. Everything starts here. Everything starts here. So the positive spin that we have here on hustling is needed more now than ever. So let's take them one at a time. Hurry and hopeful. Now, this seems very simple. And when I first thought, reflected on it, I was like, well, I mean, everybody, I think, starts off hopeful when it comes to certain things. But when you're really in the trenches trying to deal with certain issues, it can be very difficult to be hopeful. And that's where it connected for me in terms of why would we even consider that in relation to the hustle? Because maintaining the hustle mentality, if you don't have hope, you really are not going to have anything to drive your hustle, if that makes sense. What I mean by that is the hope is really, it's almost like, a remote cannot work with a battery in it. I see hope as the battery, because you have to be hopeful of the end goal in order to engage in any of these points that we're going through right now as it relates to hustling. If you don't start with that basic hope to be successful, you kind of dead in the water already. So being hopeful is integral to the hustle. You have to keep your eyes on the prize and internalize the hope that it can be done. That's where it all starts. And being in a state of hurry doesn't mean to be rushed in any way, but to attach a sense of importance to what it is that you need to get done. Utilize and urgent. Utilize, for me, I broke that down to mean that you have to figure out all of the resources that you need to tap into, the resources you need to use to get to where you need to be, to where you want to be. Nothing about your hustle should be a solo venture, I know a lot of people may not have what would you say, an immediate support system around them, whether it's at home, whether it's at your school, if you're working, whether it's at work, you may not have an immediate support system around you. Or you may have the people around you, but they are not necessarily buying into your hope, your vision for yourself. That is where you utilize resources that maybe will help you build a network that will support you. So I'll use myself as an example. When I decided to start my business, didn't have a clue. I was online day in and day out, researching, finding out more about, how people are making money online by writing and how you write for other people. How do you find people to be your clients? I really wanted to get this business idea off the ground, but really didn't know where to start. And so through my online research, I started to find content creators, content writers, freelance writers out there who, and not everybody was necessarily, what we consider popular or mainstream, let's say. But, I started to find these people online who I connected with in terms of understanding, where they started from and how they got to where they are. Some of them I would reach out to, whether it's, through their social media platform, on Instagram, on Facebook. And surprisingly, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head that never responded to a question I asked. So people are very approachable, probably more approachable than we tend to think. And they were willing to give advice, give recommendations, or direct me to other resources. Another thing I utilized locally now, once I was getting more comfortable in what I was doing and really getting to start, setting roots in terms of my business, is I joined a local entrepreneurship group. And it wasn't just a general entrepreneurship group, but it was an entrepreneurship group for women. Because women business owners have a lot more challenges than male business owners. So I wanted to make sure that I was tied into a network that I could really relate to and that could really help me to grow, to become more self-confident in what I was doing, and to be more sure that what I was going for made sense and was doable. So you have to be ready to utilize not necessarily what is immediately around you, but utilize that, that starting point of, just being hopeful and wanting to get to a certain point, to then figure out what resources are out there that I need to get into, to utilize to get to the next step. Because a lot of times the people immediately around us, whether they support you or not, because my family supports my business, but they couldn't help me with it because none of them are business people. So they couldn't offer me any of the immediate business related support I needed. So I had to utilize other resources. And then the sense of urgency, again, is rooted in what do you want to accomplish and within what time frame. And that takes us over into being smart and savvy, because you have to have a plan. You have to set goals. The hustle isn't just going to materialize because you're thinking about it. Oh, I want to be the best singer out there, or I want to be the best songwriter out there, or I want to be the best dancer out there, but you're not practicing dancing. Or you maybe, do a dance once a month. You don't have any sense of urgency. You're not setting any goals. You're just saying that you want to dance or you want to write music, but you are not actively engaging in having a sense of urgency or even setting smart goals around achieving what it is you need to do or want to do. So you have to be urgent and you have to be smart and savvy about your goals to get to your end goal. You can't, what they say, you can't have a dream without a plan. Otherwise, it's just a wish. And we can wish all day, every day. It's not going to come true unless you have a plan and you work at it. So that's what it means to be smart and savvy and set your goals. The next point of importance is being timely and tenacious. Tenacious is one of those words I really like. Being tenacious means that nothing is going to stop you. You hit roadblocks. That's a given. You will hit roadblocks. But guess what? You hit the roadblock, you deal with it in that moment. You may need a little time, depending on how bad that roadblock was. Maybe you invested in something for your business and you lost all the money. Now you have to regroup, and maybe you have to go to family or go back to the bank to see if you can get another loan, whatever the case may be, right? So you're going to have to work through that roadblock and continue. Figure it out and continue. That's tenacity. That's being tenacious, because life is never an easy street. Never an easy street. So you cannot expect smooth sailing. So that tenacity is required in order to get to your end goal, in order to be successful at your hustle. You have to be tenacious and you have to be timely. And timely, how I interpret it in this instance, is that similar to what I was saying before with your goal setting, you want to ensure that with your plans, you are on track for when you want to accomplish things by, 2-month period, by a 6-month period. Within a year, I should have a store. Within 2 years, I should hire more staff, things like that. So you want to be timely in the things that you're putting into action around your hustle. Anybody has any questions or thoughts about anything? No one?
Just a great information. Thank you.
All right, no problem. All right, so our final 2 points here: leadership and learning. This is probably my favorite. I love to learn. I am a nerd through and through. Books, online courses, you name it, I'm on board. I love learning. And that is going to be integral in how you're able to advance in your hustle. That's going to be integral in how much you can achieve in your hustle. Because especially in our world today, information is constantly changing. And there is a lot, no matter what profession you are in, no matter what career you are aiming to have, no matter what it is you're doing, you have to stay current for every area. You have to learn to stay current. So learning, I don't know how you can advance in anything right now if you're not constantly learning. I really don't. You're going to end up being very stuck at an integral point in your efforts, and you don't want that. So always be open to learning. And that goes hand in hand with leadership, because a part of leadership has to be that you are learning. Leaders who aren't learning eventually are going to hit a roadblock in being able to lead anyone, including themselves. So that's something to really think about. As a leader, and you're all leaders because you have to lead, you have to start off by leading yourself, right? And especially if it is that your hustle is tied to creating a business, you're going to be the leader of that business. And eventually, if you have other people working for you, you're going to have to lead those people. So if it is that you want to maintain a certain level of success and be a certain type of leader, as you're attaining that success, learning has to be an integral part of your plan. It has to be continuous in order for you to remain relevant. That's the bottom line. And you will see, especially in this pandemic era, a lot of people were slapped hard with that aspect of the pandemic, because businesses had to pivot, they had to regroup and learn how to do business differently. Many companies now are only facilitating their business online, because with the pandemic, nobody could go anywhere. You saw video footage of, streets globally with nobody on them. Everything was shut down. Everybody is home. There's a pandemic. But how do you still earn? How do you still keep people employed? You don't want to have, think of how many people are already unemployed as it is. Imagine if most of the businesses that pivoted didn't. We're talking about hundreds of thousands and millions more people who would have been unemployed, because those businesses weren't able to pivot and had to fully shut down. So because they were able to pivot, because they embraced learning, and also employees had to embrace learning because their way of working had to change. Because they embraced learning, they were able to continue working. They were able to continue hustling. These businesses were able to continue hustling, keeping people employed, offering their services or their products, and continue to make money instead of just closing their doors. So we've seen a full circle of change across the world in terms of the pandemic and how people have to work now, how people have to live now, how people have to think about doing, regular business, how people have to think about interacting with others. It's just changed the whole landscape. And so we all had to relearn and learn new things in order to function in this new space, right? So learning is at the forefront of everything. So always be open to learning, always. And then our final point of the hustle, everyday and ego. And I love this because the hustle is an everyday thing. Goes back to being timely and tenacious. If you're not doing something every day that contributes to your hustle, you're not hustling. If you're not doing something every day that contributes to your hustle, you're not hustling. It's still just a dream or a wish. Still just a wish, because you don't have a plan. Because your plan should include something you do every day that is going to move your hustle one step forward, at least. And if you're not eager about your hustle, then what's the point? You have to bring that energy. You have to bring that energy. You have to bring that passion. This is your hustle. It's hustle. It's what you want. It's not what somebody's asking you to do. It's not what somebody's forcing you to do. And I hope you're not forcing yourself to do it. It really should be something that you want. So whether that's completing your education, whether that's getting your dream job, you have to be eager about it. You have to be working towards it every day. All the resources I've seen in the group, I still haven't heard from anyone. So I'm hoping that everybody's resume and so on are on point, and that a lot of applications have been filled out, because some great opportunities have been shared in the group. But I don't know how eager folks have been to take advantage of any of them. That is the essence of being eager and showing up every day around your hustle. So stop saying what it is you want and hustle for it. Stop wishing about what you want and hustle for it. We all have to do it. I'm 40 years old and I'm still doing it. And I have no shame about it, because I always want better for myself, and you should too. You have to hustle, folks. You have to hustle. We have to hustle. I know things are very different. I know there are far more challenges, but you still have to maintain that hustle. It's the only way. All right. So a little food for thought before we go. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. I thought that was an apt quote, and the world is your oyster. I like this image because anything could be over, I don't know, that hill or that, I don't know how to best describe it, but you know, they're in the desert, you don't know what's on the other side, but you keep hustling and pushing for what it is you know you want. You keep pushing for what you believe. You keep pushing for your dream, and you'll get to that other side and you will receive what it is you hustled for. So the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. I hope that was helpful.
I have a
Thank
question.
you. Sure, go ahead.
In becoming an author, like what are the strategies to make for that?
In becoming a what?
Author, writer.
What kind of author do you want to be?
More to like.
Remember, there are different types of books that you can write.
Christian.
Okay, start.
Christianity.
Sorry? Say that again?
Christianity. Christians, about Christian.
Okay, so you want to write about Christianity. Are you thinking about writing in terms of self-help books or helping people to embrace religion?
Both.
Both. Okay. So you start off by finding out about people who are in that genre. Find authors who are writing about that already. See what they're writing about. Think about what you could do differently. Start finding groups that you can join in terms of encouraging writing in that for that genre, in terms of writing about Christianity and self-help. That could be a combination of creative fiction writing, or if you wanted to write it as nonfiction, because maybe you will incorporate, you know, real life stories of people you know, or maybe you would go out and interview people to write their stories, and that would serve as the content for your book. So look for the resources that will guide you on those types of writing and help you to learn how to approach it. And then outside of honing your writing skills, you are also going to then need to look into resources around publishing books. The wonderful thing is you can self-publish nowadays. Amazon makes it very easy to self-publish online, and you can then sell your books online through Amazon and other online retailers. So that is the other aspect that you would want to start looking into and learning about. And again, connecting with people who are doing it. As I said, you would be surprised how approachable people are online. So when you start researching, if you find persons that you like what they're about, you like what they're doing, if you can find a contact for them, and I mean, everybody's on social media, so you can always, DM somebody online, and you would be surprised how willing they are to respond and help guide you along as well. As I said, that was a big help for me when I was first starting out. So I would say start doing some background research and finding persons that you can connect with who are doing what it is you are interested in. Start talking to them, ask questions, and then also make sure that you are honing your writing skills. And once you get an understanding of what is out there in that genre, find your area that you can build out on, because maybe you can bring something very new in terms of writing about Christianity and helping people with understanding and embracing religion.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.